All right, I think we're going now. I think so. I think we're going now. So good. Let's get into it here. Let me get the disclaimers out of the way, then we'll get into the actual broadcast itself. So this is a weekly live broadcast pretty much every Thursday evening, 7 o'clock Central. This is where I'm at. I don't have a topic planned out, so what we do is I just respond to the live chat itself as it's coming through while the video is live. I do my best to respond to everyone that comments in the live chat itself. What is that? Something flying around on the screen distracted me. I don't know what it was. Probably a ghost. No, probably not. Okay, so just a couple of rules here. You can talk about anything you want to talk about. You can ask me anything you want to ask me. You can talk about other YouTube channels. I don't care about any of that kind of stuff. Doesn't bother me a bit. You can talk to other people in the chat. You guys can carry on conversations. Be polite. Be family friendly. Don't start cussing at anybody. We can have good disagreements. That's fine too, but there's no reason to be hateful about it. We don't want to have to kick anybody out. So let's get into it. Stills and Squeals Barbecue says almost didn't make it tonight. Thank goodness for the notice on my cell. Well, thanks for setting the notifications. Thanks for making it. I appreciate that. Hey, Bob, good to see you. Says, howdy, Chris. Hope you're back to 100%. Well, I think I am. Last week I was a little tired. A little tired tonight too. I can't promise I'm not going to yawn once or twice through here. I don't know why. It's in the back of my head that I shouldn't do that. So now I got the urge, but I'll be fine. I think I'm doing a little bit better tonight, a little bit more upbeat. Hey, Verna, good to see you from Southwest Ohio. Hopefully you guys are doing well there. I've heard about something else happened in Ohio, didn't it? I know there was the train derailment and then something else happened there. I can't remember what it was though. Verna says, I left another live stream to be here. LOL, was watching one on growing my channel. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, you didn't have to. You don't have to be here, but we appreciate you being here. It's always good to have you here with us. We appreciate all that you do. So, if you ever need to take, can't make the live broadcast, that's okay. We're not going to count it against you. Hey, Jesse Mills, good to see you. Let's see. Don says you signed up for his classes. I don't know whose classes you're talking about. Probably the one about growing your channel or something. Well, good luck. I hope you can grow it. I hope it works out well. Let's see. Stills and Squeals says hello to everybody. We got a couple of people talking to each other. You guys started long before I got here. I looked mischievous in the thumbnail picture, huh? I wasn't intending to be mischievous looking. Sorry. Let's see. Scrap 5000 says, greeting from New York City. Hit the like button. Thank you. I appreciate that. Who else we got here? RBL Jackson from West Texas. Good to see you. And S.O. Swanson says, just got 3 likes. And says, greeting from Mississippi. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We got 20 likes in here now. Ed Got Bait is here. Good to see you, Ed. Says, hey, I'll just drop by to give the thumbs up. Sorry, watching anime with my wife. Well, have fun. I'm not an anime fan, so I can't relate to that, but have fun, and it's okay. Go spend time with your wife. All right. Let's see. Stills and Squeal says, I had Raisin Bran for dinner, huh? That doesn't sound like a very good dinner. Could be worse, I suppose. Big E's Farm from Tennessee says 70s today. Boy, I'd trade you. We had the bottom drop out. It was 65, almost 70 degrees yesterday. Beautiful day. And then this morning when I got up, it was like 35 degrees, and it didn't get up to but about 44, 45 degrees. It was pretty chilly out. And it's supposed to be that way pretty much through the end of the week. Next week, we'll be back up in the 60s. According to the weather, we'll be back up in the 60s like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday maybe. And then Thursdays, there's a chance of snow. It's that time of year. Tony from Toronto, good to see you. Katrina from Gilroy, California, good to see you too. Hey, Boris, good to see you. Hey, there's Brandon from Whiskey Tango Farm. Says, good evening, Chris and everyone. How are you doing? We just got over 10 inches of snow last night. Oh, you can keep that. I don't want any more snow. I'm done with it for the year. Let's see. RBL Jackson says, I understand correctly, can't vent sex quail in February if they aren't active laying and the rooster's crowing. Yeah, well, it has nothing to do with the month, but you're right. Yeah, you can't vent sex them unless they're actually breeding. It's the breeding behavior that allows them to be vent sec. So your hens need to be laying eggs, your roosters need to be crowing. Now you can put a light on them, get the lights, the daylight up to 14 hours a day, and get your roosters will start crowing again, your hens will start laying again, and then you can go ahead and vent sex them. But as long as, if you're relying on natural light and you're in North America, then yeah, February is not going to be a good time for it because the days are still too short. They need about 14 hours a day of light a day, pretty consistently in order to be laying eggs and crowing. So yeah, you're on the right track. Joey says, do you make money from the ads playing or from people buying from them? I honestly don't know how that works. Yes, I don't know. I don't know the exact ads playing. I think it's a share of revenue that YouTube gets from the ad, the advertisers. But I don't really know all the specific details from it. That's a good question. I couldn't tell you exactly how that works. Verna says, Chris, I look forward to your chats. Only left the other one a few minutes early. Oh, well, hey, I appreciate you being on here, like I said, but don't feel bad if you got something else you need to do and you need to go take care of that. That's perfectly all right. You're not going to hurt my feelings. We got Ben from Black Bear Family Farms in Southeast Idaho. Very cold and snowy. Well, I can't say very cold. It's cold here, but it's not very cold and definitely not snowy. Yud is here. Good to see you. Says hey to everyone. Katrina says I had an 8-hour, 15-minute power outage, but put the baby quail in a cooler with a hot water bottle, and they lasted in the night just fine. We're expecting to get snow in the hills. The taller hills got snow last night. Interesting. So yeah. Oh, you're in California. That's right. I did hear some place in California had a blizzard warning, which seems a little odd, but hey, it is what it is. Sounds like you got a plan though. Yeah, you left them in the cooler with a hot water bottle and they did just fine. I'm glad to hear that. Hopefully you're not going to lose power again and you make it through the next round of snow without any losses. Patty says, let's see, my quail yolks are looking a little pale. What can I do to get what can I add to their field to brighten the color? Looking for more orange. Boy, that's a good question. I don't know exactly what you need to add to it. I've always noticed, I think that, with chicken eggs anyway, it seems like chickens that, are more free range, that eat a lot of bugs and things like that, they get a darker orange or colored yolk. I'm sure it does have something to do with the food, but I couldn't tell you exactly what it is that does that. What colors it that way? I need to look into that, don't I? That's a good question. Let me find out here real quick. Let's see. Oh, more alfalfa is what it says. Just a quick Google search says, typically a diet high in dehydrated alfalfa will lead to darker yolks. So you might try to supplement with a little bit of alfalfa. Dried alfalfa. You can probably get dried alfalfa cubes, crumble it up in their feed. Maybe that'll help a little bit. It's a thought. There's probably more to it, but that was just a quick search. So, that's one thought. Anyway, don't know another one. That's a good point. I've got it pulled up here. So if I find something else, maybe I'll shoot video and talk about it. Who knows? Jesse Mills says, got to throw a joke in for you, Chris. Did you hear about the border war between Missouri and Iowa? Iowa won because Missouri used dynamite. Missouri threw it over. The Iowans walked over and picked it up. So Iowa won because Missouri used dynamite. Missouri threw it over. The Iowans walked over, picked it up. I think there's more to it than that. Lit it and threw it back. Oh, okay. I get it now. Okay. So that's funny, I guess. I don't know. All right. Bob says, opened my hutch this AM, saw scattered blood on the walls of the sandbox and some long wing feathers in the sand. Birds look normal. What's up with that? Oh, that's a good question. Let's see. Scattered blood on the walls of the sandbox and some long wing feathers in the sand. So yeah, it definitely sounds like something got a hold of one of your birds, whether it's another bird doing that. That seems a little aggressive for that. Was it super cold out maybe? Is it possible that maybe one of them got wet? If they got wet and froze, I've had that happen with a bird before, where they got wet and had a part, wing feathers, whatever, froze to the cage itself or something, and then they pull it and end up tearing a place on their skin somewhere, and that's what caused the blood. I don't know, honestly. That's a good question. That's my first thought. Maybe that if that's not it, good question. I don't know. I've never seen birds get to where they actually like pull complete feathers out with their aggression. Not long wing feathers anyway. They pull the feathers around their head and their face, and it doesn't seem likely that they'd be pulling wing feathers out. And even if they did, that wouldn't cause the blood. So I don't know. I wouldn't think it would be aggression from the birds themselves doing that. Could be, I guess, but I'm kind of at a loss on that one. I'll have to see if, maybe if it was really cold out, like I said, maybe that was it. Yed's got a question. Says, can quails eat black oil sunflower seed? Yes, they can, for sure. You don't want to feed them tons of it, but in moderation, yes, they can eat black oil sunflower seed. Andy Rabbit's here. Good to see you. Katrina says, LA has a blizzard warning. How crazy is that? Yeah, that's what I heard. That is crazy. Ruby says, first time in your chat. Thanks for the videos. Looking forward to watching this spring. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I didn't get a video out this week, guys. I'm sorry about that. I was busy doing some work in the garden and turning compost piles. It wasn't anything that was super exciting to video, and I just ran out of time, so I didn't get a video shot. I'm sorry. Rowdy says, hi, been following you for a bit. First live, but hubby makes your quail hutch. Oh, wait. Hubby made your quail hutch, but doubled it. One on one side, another on the back side, like a square. Thanks for the ideas. Well, awesome. That sounds like a very nice improvement. So nicely done. Don says, same temperature here yesterday, 70, then storms, tornadoes, took out power lines, trees, and then today it was chilly. Tomorrow, 35. Ugh. Well, we didn't get any tornadoes. We did have the storm front came through, but it wasn't that bad. So not here anyway. I know there were some tornado watches and warnings around, but I don't think there were any confirmed tornadoes anywhere. Hey, there's Prince Martin from Trinidad and Tobago. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. And then we got Rick Sumner from, I scrolled, there we go, from Benson, Arizona. Good to see you as well. Let's see. Rudy says, thank you for the welcome. Yeah, absolutely. Try to welcome everybody. I do tend to skip over the chats where most of the time I'll skip over them if they start off with somebody else's name. Like if somebody starts off and calls somebody else by name first, I assume that's a conversation you guys are having yourselves. I'll skip over them. The rest of them I try to make sure that I read. Brandon says, make money just from the ads playing. So you on the YouTube. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is just from the ads playing, but I couldn't tell you the exact way that works, the revenue share or any of that kind of stuff. RBL Jackson says, okay, we just got them about 4 days ago and they were transported. Figure 2 weeks to start getting eggs, at least leaving light in the garage on 14 hours plus each day. So yeah, I think we're talking about vent sexing. You're the same person that had the vent sexing comment earlier. So yeah, you're on the right track. Give them a couple of weeks. It's going to give them some time to get used to the change and all that kind of stuff in environment and the lighting and all that. And then you should start getting some eggs. You should start hearing the roosters will probably start crowing before the hens start laying eggs. And at that point, you should be able to vent sex the roosters and be able to identify them. Verna says, Chris, looks like you're having a little streaming problem, but it's okay now. Yeah, I got sketchy internet sometimes. Hopefully it's holding up right now. AJ says, hello, I got one of my rabbits kindling yesterday. Now it is day 30. Are nerve-wracking since this is my first time breeding. First time. Yeah, very nerve-wracking for sure, but don't stress about it. Just watch the rabbits pretty closely. For the next day or two, you said kindling. You got one of them that kindled yesterday. Okay, so you're past that now. Wait. Now it's day 30. You said, hello, I got one of my rabbits kindling yesterday. Now it's day 30. So I don't know if she's already kindled or if you're waiting on her to kindle. Either way, don't stress too much about it. Most of the time it goes just fine. The only thing you really want to make sure is that, watch her pretty closely when it comes pretty close to her due date or due time. And then make sure that she has the babies in the nest box. If she doesn't, get in there, pick them up, put them in the nest box, and they should be fine at that point. Don't worry about handling them. It's not going to bother the mother at all. She's going to take care of them. But you don't want them just left out on the cage floor for very long because they won't make it very long that way. They need to be in the nest box. That's really the biggest thing. If as long as they're in the nest box, they're probably going to be just fine. There's nothing to worry about really. Let's see. Silent Guardian says any pointers or positions to hold a rabbit doing a gender check on adults. My husband is supportive and will help if needed, but I'd like to do it on my own possibly. Well, I think if these are adult rabbits, you should be able to pretty easily tell the male. It shouldn't be that difficult because they have testicles. I mean, it's pretty obvious. So on adult males, anyway, it is pretty obvious. Now you could pick the rabbit up if you need to, kind of maybe turn them on their back just a little bit. And what I would do is like say their head's right here, their back feet's right there. You pick them up, put your hand underneath their bottom to support them and turn them just a little bit, but it shouldn't take much. You should be able to see pretty obviously. So that would be my guess. It would be definitely easier if you had somebody else to hold them, or just kind of look underneath the cage. Maybe if they're in a wire cage, you might be able to just squat down and look underneath and be able to see just fine because, usually adult males are pretty easy to tell. Katrina says the power outage due to extremely strong winds. Yeah, I know how that goes. I've had that happen before too. Oh, pardon me. Oh, I told you it was going to happen. Oh, sorry. Okay, Roach says, howdy, everyone. My hatching eggs should be here tomorrow. First time raising Coturnix quail. Does anyone have any suggestion on the solar light setup that is able to put on a timer? I did come out with a prototype. That reminds me, I still got to do those refunds for that. Anyway, I did come out with a prototype for a while. I mean, I actually took orders on it, and then it just kind of fell through. I had one that was set up on a timer, but I just couldn't get the backing, couldn't get it ordered, couldn't get it. Long story short, no, it doesn't. I don't have it anymore. So no, I don't have a good suggestion. That's why I went ahead and developed one because I couldn't find one. Anybody that put one on a timer that was fairly affordable. I mean, there were some for commercial chicken, farms that was just way too. I mean, they were thousands of dollars. So it wasn't anything practical at all. What I'm using right now is a solar light that is it just comes on automatically when the sun goes down, and it stays on until the battery dies. It does a pretty good job. It's in my Amazon shop. So if you go to any of my videos, you look in the description, you can get to my Amazon shop from there. And that light that I'm using is in there right now. It's like a $30, $35 light. It does pretty good job. It comes on automatically at dark, stays on until the battery goes out. Some nights, if we have like a full sun, no clouds in the sky day, it'll stay on all night. But most of the time, it goes off before morning. All right. Prince says, I now start breeding rabbits. I think that got cut off. I'm not sure what you're saying there. So I'll wait and see if there's more to that. Katrina says yellow yolk equals chlorophyll. Eat green stuff. Hey, there you go. That's a good suggestion, I guess. So alfalfa would be good. I guess any kind of leafy green vegetable would be good. Stay away from iceberg lettuce. It's bad. Spartman says, howdy from the Watertown, South Dakota area. It's currently -10. Ugh, that sounds terrible. AJ says, my second rabbit should be ready to kindle any time now. She's on day 29. Hey, we got a super chat. K. Roach sent a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, K. Roach. I appreciate that. It said, thanks. You are welcome. So second rabbit ready to kindle any time. She's on day 29. Yep. She's probably any day now, right? Today, tomorrow, next day, probably within the next 24 to 36 hours at the latest, I would say. Good luck with that. I hope it goes well. I'm sure it will. Katrina says, I got Egyptian free ranges from my shire today. Awesome. Let's see what else we got here. Spartman says, Tim's been dropping all day. That sounds terrible. All right, I'm going to skip over a couple of these where you guys are talking to each other. There we go. Spartman says, 2 days of snow and blizzards. Now the bottom falls out for the temps. Oh, yeah, I'm not envious of that at all. I'm ready to go back to the 60, 70 degree weather. That was really nice. Spartman says, and of course the geese are outside sleeping in it. Yeah, it doesn't seem to affect the animals the same way it affects us. Bob says, quail in the outside hutch Sealed sandbox area, only small opening to the wired area. No sign of entry, still locked up. Temp in the mid-20s last night. Puzzling, especially with full wing feathers. Yeah, I wonder if it wasn't, I mean, if they didn't have access, somehow get wet and then get frozen, stuck to somewhere on the cage and pulled some feathers or some skin off or something like that. I've had that happen before. So that's my best guess, honestly. Chances are they're going to be fine and it's probably nothing to worry about. But that's my best guess. I think I'm on the right track anyway. I think you're talking about the quail, the wing feathers being pulled, the blood splattering on the wall. I'm pretty sure that's what we're talking about. So that's my best guess. Rowdy says, can quail eat sprouts like chickens? So by sprouts, you mean like if you were to sprout like fodder and things like that for them? Yeah, they absolutely can. If you're going to be feeding them more than just, if you're going to be feeding them something besides like a commercial quail food, you need to make sure that they have grit available to them to help them break up their food. But if you have a sandbox, they'll get grit out of that sandbox. That's all you need. You don't need to provide anything special for them. It's just make sure that you have something available for them. Ben says, we had winds, low of -5, high of 17. Oh, that's way worse than what we had. Says, this is all this, though my quail are fine. Keeping them out of the wind is the key. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the quail handle it just fine. It's no problem at all. Verna says, could it be that the sandbox might have been cold enough to freeze a few feathers? Well, unless there's water involved, probably not. I mean, just cold sand alone. I mean, if it's dry and it's cold, they're not going to stick to it. They have to have some kind of moisture or something like that to freeze to get it to stick. I mean, think about it. You pick up dry sand, no matter how cold it is, it doesn't freeze your hand. It doesn't freeze to your hand. It's the moisture in there that there's got to be something like that to actually freeze. Hopefully that didn't come across like hateful. I didn't mean like you're stupid or anything. It's just, it wouldn't be just the cold sand. There has to be something else to it to have that happen. Let's see. Straight Bray says, kind of funny, but one of my Coturnix quail laid an all white egg. Yeah, I've had that happen before too. Always joke and say they're out of toner. But yeah, it's not that uncommon actually. Andy Rabbit says, I use the choke chain method for rabbits. The other day, my chain broke. I tried the broomstick method. Just saying the broomstick method kind of sucks. I'm going to fix the choke chain back up. I have not actually used a choke chain, but I could see how that might be a lot easier. If nothing else, it keeps you up off the ground. You don't have to bend over it's a little kind of tricky to get all those pieces of the broomstick method working all in unison right at the same time and doing it the right way. So yeah, I can understand why you might want to use the choke chain and get it fixed for sure. Stills and Squeals says, getting ready to get all my quail outside this weekend to free up brooders for the new chickens that will be hatching out in the next few days. So from one set of preppers to another, woohoo. Awesome. Yeah, hopefully your quail do fine. I'm sure they will get them moved out, and hopefully the new chickens do fine too. Jennifer says, question. Hello, Chris. Do you know what you get when you breed a jumbo white with a jumbo wild? Now my white birds aren't solid white. Thanks for all you do for us. Do you know what you get when you breed? That sounded like it was going to be a joke. I was waiting for the punchline. But it says, do you know what you get when you breed a jumbo white with a jumbo wild? Now my white birds aren't solid white. Yeah, that's how they develop all different genes, different colors and all that kind of is just crossbreeding different color birds together. So yeah, you're probably going to get some weird color combinations when you start breeding those together. I don't know that there's a specific name for that. But I don't know, you might end up with some tuxedos in there too, but you're going to get some weird random things. Animal Game says, I've seen your videos about the nipple waters for your quail. Do you still use it? I'm thinking of getting one. Are you talking about the, during the summertime, I use the water cups hooked up to a 5-gallon bucket. In the wintertime, I use a heated water that has the nipple waters on it. I still use that. Yeah, that's what if that's what you're talking about, I do still use that. But I tend to use the water cups in the summertime. I like those a little bit better. They don't drip like the nipple waters do. Bob says no water in that area. Sand. Okay. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, who knows? Maybe, and you know, it could be that the moisture was, you know, maybe that the bird did get, you know, beat up a little bit by another bird that caused it to bleed a little bit. That's the moisture that it got on it that caused it to freeze, to pull the feathers out. I don't know. It's a mystery. We may never know. Silver Creek Aquatics, good to see you. And Patty says, I have 8 females to 1 male quail. Should I attempt to incubate, or will my fertility rate be too low? I would say go ahead and incubate. I mean, 8 to 1, that's a little on the high side, so your fertility might be a little bit low, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't incubate. I mean, that just means you may not have as great of a success rate. I mean, let's say, you know, you have maybe an 80% fertility rate, 20% of your eggs are not fertile. Well, you're still got 80% of your eggs that are fertile that could hatch. So go ahead and incubate. I would do it. Katrina's saying to Andy Rabbit, look up the hopper popper. You can make your own pretty easily. I think my rabbits came with one, and it's really quick. I've seen that before. It does look pretty nifty. Joe says, how often do you clean the nest box? Well, I don't have a nest box. I have a sand box, but I think that's what you're asking is how often do I clean the sand boxes out? You know, once a month or so. I mean, it just depends. When it starts getting really dirty, I clean it out. It's not as bad as you would think. It actually, yeah, it's probably about once a month is how often I clean it out. Silver Creek Aquatics says, Patty, you're probably fine, but from what I've experienced, 5 to 6 per male gives the best results. That's pretty close. Yeah, I would agree. 5 to 6 is really, once you get above 6, yeah, you do start to see a little bit of drop in fertility. But like I said, go ahead and incubate. There's no reason not to. Bob says, Verna, yes, possibly, but not probable. Humidity in our area very low. Yeah, I don't know, unfortunately. I wish I had a better answer for you. Katrina says, nest boxes are in with my does, day 28. Hoping we'll see some babies in a few days. Oh, I never thought about this. That question about the nest box, cleaning it out, that may be a reference to rabbits, right? I'm sorry. I was thinking quail. I said sandbox. I think, yeah, I'm getting mixed up. I bet you were talking about how often do I clean out nest boxes for the rabbits when they have babies. I don't really clean it out unless it's like overly dirty. And then I'll go ahead and clean out like the nasty stuff, maybe add a little bit more straw if I need to. And that's usually like right after, you know, like 2 days after they're born. You know, I'll get in there and look around, make sure that there's no nastiness left in there or anything like that. Clean it out if it needs to be. But other than that, I don't really clean it out. They're only in there for, you know, 6 weeks at the most, well, not even that long, usually about 14 days, 15 days, something like that. And then they start getting out of the nest box and they don't really need it much anymore after that. So, you know, usually I don't clean it out while it's in there. Katrina says nest boxes are in with my does, day 28. Hoping we'll see some babies in a few days. They're looking a little thicker this time. Maybe then the buck will be safe to stay. Well, good luck. I hope that you have a successful kindling. Yusef's here. Good to see you, Yusef. Says hello, Chris, and everyone here. Whoa, I scrolled too far. Sometimes every once in a while I hit the scroll button and it just shoots all the way down to the bottom of the comments. Silver Creek Aquatics says studies have been done even for terrestrial and aquatic plants along with life in general. Any light that shows they color and appearance or whatever the light is on is enough, even for algae. But more light closer to the sunlight replication helps much better with the circadian rhythm and therefore the laying probability. So what you're saying, I think, is any light helps, but if you have a light that is maybe a little bit brighter, a little bit closer color spectrum to the sun is going to be better. I think that's what you're saying. Okay, makes sense. Vay's Place says, let's see, iceberg lettuce is bad for all of us too. Yeah, well, it probably is. I mean, I don't know how bad it is for us, but there's not much nutrients in it for sure. It's mostly water and fiber. And, you know, for animals, it can lead to diarrhea. And, you know, especially like in any animal, it gets, usually animals with diarrhea don't last very long. So Silver Creek's asking Verna, have you tried Salanova lettuce? I haven't actually tried it. I'm familiar with it. I just haven't tried it. I need to give it a try. Joyce says hello from snowy Western Oregon. Hello to you. Thanks for joining. How are we doing on time? We're right halfway through, so we're doing good. Andy says the broomstick method traumatized me. Yeah, well, I could see that. I can understand how that could happen. Silver Creek Aquatics says they're expensive, but at the most are the most hardy strain of lettuce to grow on your own that is out there to date. The most hardy? Interesting. I may have to try them. Let's see. Glostron, I think it is, says, hope to have some comfrey pop back up this spring, trying to experiment with it as a food supplement. Yeah, I tried to get comfrey started, and it just didn't work. That's been several years ago. I need to get some more and try again. Silver Creek Aquatics says, tip, lettuce is similar to grass seeds. If you simply place them on the top of the dirt, they will germinate and grow best. If you bury them, the germination rate lowers quite a bit. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Yes, they need to be in contact with the soil, but the general rule of thumb when sowing seeds is only sown, about as deep as the seed is big. And lettuce seeds are so small that if you bury them, it's probably burying them too deep, and that's going to decrease your germination rate. So you're right. Basically, just put them on the top, and I usually sprinkle just a little bit of potting mix or whatever on the top of them, or soil, or wherever I'm planting them. But you're right. You don't want to actually bury them in the soil. Let's see. I'm going to skip over a few of these talking to each other. Naomi says, I heard placing impacts them. That's what I have. And one of my girls has a large crop. I have never had that issue. I use play stand, construction sand. I use all kinds of sand in there. Never had that issue. Maybe it could be due to the sand, but I mean, that can happen no matter what they're eating. It can happen if they get an impacted crop. Give her a couple of days, see if it kind of works itself out. It probably will. But yeah, I've never had an issue with sand. Rowdy says we have 80 to 100 mile per hour winds in the high desert of California. It was really bad. 80 to 100 mile an hour winds. Yeah, that's like mild tornado winds. That's crazy. Naomi says, is all-purpose construction sand better than play sand? I don't know that there's much of a difference between them, honestly. S.O. Swanson says, I've used play sand for years without issues. On your quail coop on the sheltered side, do you close off the gap to the top? Okay, wait, I think that's a question for me. So, I don't know that there's any difference between play sand and construction sand. I don't really know what the difference is. I've used both play sand and construction sand. Never had an issue with either one of them. You might try switching and seeing if it does better for you. Okay, RBL Jackson says, on the quail coop on the sheltered side, do you close off the gap at the top or leave it that way year round? Almost done with mine. Need to paint and then staple all the wire. So I'm not sure if I understand what you're asking. You're saying, okay, so I've got a board that goes right through the middle of my quail coop. This side is all wire open. This side's the sandbox. You're wanting to know if I close that off at the top. I do close it off. Well, I kind of close it off at the top. I mean, I have a piece of like 6 mil clear plastic that I staple over it, and it goes all the way across where that board is, but it's not stapled down to that board. So it's got some airflow that goes in, but it is over that board. No rain's going to get in or anything like that, if that makes sense. And it's like that all year round. Yes. Andy Rabbit says, I only use play sand for my quail. Verna says, I use play sand and don't have a problem. And let's see, Silver Creek Aquatics says, did y'all notice that the brown speckles on a quail egg actually help to reflect radiation to protect the inner embryo? Oh, did y'all know that the brown speckles reflect radiation to help protect the inner? Really? That seems strange. I mean, why would they? What radiation is it reflecting? But interesting. I did not know that. Animal Game says, why are there splotches on the quail egg? It just seems weird. Well, apparently it's to reflect radiation. I don't know. Good question. A lot of bird eggs have speckles on them, though. It's pretty common, actually. Verna says, I would think construction sand would pack more. I've never noticed a huge difference between construction sand and play sand. I think maybe construction sand is not quite as coarse, maybe a little finer, but I don't know. Don says, I use play sand and too, and no problem. Naomi says, those that use play sand, do you guys give them veggies? I've given them veggies and fruit. I laid off on it and I just give it to them a few times a week. I don't typically, I mean, I have before given my birds some veggies and things, but it's not part of their typical diet. It's just like a treat every now and then. So I don't feed them vegetables on a regular basis. Rowdy says, I had a few eggs that were the size of a dime, and then I had floppy shells, no yolk. What causes that? That's pretty common when your birds first start laying. If it's like, your birds are, when they first start laying, or they first start laying again after a break, and then just sometimes every once in a while, you're going to get that. But if it's a consistent issue after they've been laying for a considerable amount of time, and you're getting those like every day, every couple of days, I mean, you're getting those on a regular basis, maybe a lack of calcium. I kind of doubt that's it. If you're feeding a commercial game bird starter, game bird grower, chances are it's got plenty of calcium in it. They only need about 1.5% calcium in their diet. But again, if your birds are new, like young birds that just started laying, or if they took a break and then you added light and they started laying again or something like that, and they've just started up, then that's just part of the egg laying. I mean, it just takes a little bit of time for them to get into the cycle. Don't stress about it. It's not a big deal. I got a shellless egg the other day, or, like a, what did you call it? Yeah, no yolk. Yeah. Floppy shells with no yolk. Yeah. A shellless egg, basically. I got one of those the other day in the hutch, and just one. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's just going to happen from time to time. All right. Silver Creek says, thanks, Faye. It came off the, well, where'd that go? Thanks, Faye. It came off the Discovery Channel. I just happened to remember. Interesting. Talking about the radiation, huh? Crazy. Who knew? S.O. Swanson says, I give treats weekly. I also toss some chick grit in the sand area to ensure they can get some larger pieces for their crop. And yeah, that's probably not a terrible idea. If you're feeding a lot of vegetables and things, you may want to go the extra step of giving them a little extra grit. Andy says, I like the water cups too. Yeah, those are my favorite for the summer. I like them. They don't leak. Rick says, I'm starting my quail venture. I have watched a lot of videos, including yours, Katernick's Corner, My Shire, and Living Traditions Homestead, to learn the ropes, and have raised chickens, rabbits, and goats. Awesome. Those are all great channels. So you're getting a good education, I'm sure. Thanks for watching my videos, too. I appreciate that. Scrap 5000 says, Chris, great news. I was able to hatch 3 white chicks from 6 more eggs, and they're doing great so far. 4 days in, I've got another 7 in the incubator, due in a couple of weeks. Fingers crossed. That's awesome. I remember talking about that before, and you had really poor hatch on the last one, and they all died, I think, if I remember right. So congratulations. 6 more. No, you hatched 3 chicks from those 6 eggs, and then you got 7 in the incubator. So good luck with those too. I hope they go well. Yeah, Verna's telling me, I think you meant the nest box for the rabbits. I figured it out. You're right. I think that's what it was too. Naomi says, how do I fix? I've messed it and put olive oil in the water with apple cider vinegar. Put olive oil. She hasn't eaten for 23 hours now, trying to help her crop decrease. Oh, that's impacted crop. Let's see. Let's see quick. Yes, I mean, you're on the right track. I don't know of anything else. Yeah, basically it says, I mean, just a quick Google search. I haven't actually dealt with it, so I always have to look it up when it happens to remember. Isolate your hen, allow access, dose with 10 millimeters of olive oil or vegetable oil, trickle it slowly into the side of their beak. Wait for 10 minutes, then massage the crop. 10 milliliters, that's for a chicken, so you're going to want to go a little bit less for a quail, probably more like 3 milliliters. Wait 10 minutes, then massage the crop to try to break down the blockage. Repeat twice more every couple of hours. I mean, that seems like it. This sounds very cold-hearted, and I don't mean it this way, but honestly, I don't know how much effort I would put into fixing it. myself, just because I kind of believe in the survival of the fittest and strengthening my flock. I might just call that bird if it's if it's not like a prize bird, you're not too low on numbers now or whatever. I would probably just make that bird my dinner. But that's just me, and I don't mean it in a harsh. I know it sounds horrible, but these I don't. I mean, I don't have too many problems with my animals. I want them to live good lives. I want them to be well cared for, but at the same time, I'm not willing to put in, too much work to try to fix a bird. Now, impacted crop is not something that you're probably going to see come back up over and over again or be genetically passed on. So I can understand you might want to put a little effort into it. That's not the same as things like prolapse in the vent or other stuff like that. So, I'm not as strict on that. But usually if I have an animal that has some kind of problem like that, especially my livestock animals, that's what I'm talking about really. There's not a whole lot of effort I put into them unless it's like I only have 5, hens and I really need this one to make it, something like that. Yeah, Verna's saying, look and see if there's anything in her mouth that you might be able to grab and slowly pull out. That's a thought too. Yeah, you might be able to do that. Yeah, Joe, I figured it out. Yeah, for rabbits. I got it. Sorry. Miss Kitty says, hello from snowy Utah. Hello to you too. And there's Blessed with Pets. Says, hey, Chris, I'm on my birthday trip, and I'm picking up 3 rabbits on the way home Sunday. I'm so excited. 3 mini Rex pedigrees, 2 BEWs. What is black, blue-eyed whites? Is that it? And 1 broken black. Literally my dream rabbits. $200 for, there's more to that, for all 3, and a 3-hole carrier, a 3-hole show carrier and everything in it. Well, awesome. Well, happy birthday and congratulations on your new rabbits. There's J-Rod says, hey, Chris, how you doing? How are your silver foxes doing? Well, doing great, thank you. And the rabbits are doing just fine. Still cannot get those does to breed. They are being stubborn. But other than that, everybody's doing fine. They look great. No issues. Just can't get them to breed right now. Naomi says squishy. I don't know what that means. I mean, I know what that means. I don't know what you're talking about, but 08SI says, oh, what up, my dude? Well, hello to you. Thank you for joining. Scrap 5000. Let's see. Does anyone raise their own fish? I'm thinking of getting into raising tilapia and catfish for additional delicious protein. Well, I've thought about raising fish. I don't like tilapia. To me, tilapia is kind of blah, just not good, kind of trash fish, honestly. But catfish would be good. And most other fish are kind of difficult to raise in captivity. So no, I haven't done it, but I'm kind of curious. Is anybody else? Tilapia are supposed to be pretty easy. The only bad thing about tilapia is that they, hang on, I got to readjust my belt buckle. It's digging into me. But the bad thing about tilapia is that they are, they're very cold sensitive. So you'd have to heat their tanks or something like that, especially in the wintertime. Let's see. Rick says, Katrina, I just subscribed to your channel as well. Thanks. Awesome. Got a new subscriber there, Katrina. Andy says, you're welcome. Blessed with Pets. Are you going to do a video on them? Interesting. It says one of my random shorts hit 500,000 views today for some reason. That's awesome. Congratulations on that. We got a bunch of people talking to each other. I'm going to skip over those. How are we doing on time? 43, about 15 minutes left. We're doing good. I think there's something going on here. I'm just catching the end of this. Says Pat Swanson saying to Patty, busy happy roos don't need to crow. Katrina says, is he breeding with the females? Some don't crow much. And Patty says, I think he is breeding. I'm not sure what. Oh, I'm not sure what they were talking about right there. I'll see if I can pick back up on that, but that's okay. Stills and Squeals says, smash the like button. That's what smash meant. I get it. Thank you. Scrap 5000 says, Chris, sorry I missed any replies to my question. Is anyone here a lawyer or know a good one? I believe New York City is violating their own code by forbidding hobbyists from selling animals. Interesting. I don't know. I don't know if we have anybody here that is a lawyer. I haven't seen anybody respond, but I did skip over a lot whenever you guys were talking to each other. Katrina says, yeah, Chris, California had tons of wind. It shook the house here. Oh, that's terrible. I'm glad you're doing okay. And lost power, I guess, but it could have been a lot worse. Silver Creek Aquatics says all-purpose and play sand are more dusty than some of the other variants, such as pool filter sand. It has bigger granules and less dust in it. The dustier, the better, you would think. Well, maybe. I don't know if dust is a good thing necessarily. Seems like that might cause some respiratory issues or something, but I've never had issues with that either, so I guess we're okay. Patty says they're watching me when I'm around their cage. The quail are watching you when you're around their cage. Yeah, they do tend to do that, don't they? Silver Creek Aquatics says I use pool filter sand specifically in my aquarium because it has less dust. Yeah, that would make sense for an aquarium. That would be important. I would agree. Katrina says, let's see, she's talking to several people, says, Naomi might be dealing with a sour crop. I've not dealt with this. I think it's to remove food for a while. Not sure what else. Yeah, I think it's the same thing, isn't it? Sour crop, impacted crop, is it not? You may be right. You may be right. Because I haven't dealt with it either. Yeah, I think it's pretty much the same thing. Well, I don't know if that doesn't sound right at all. Use Epsom salt, tomato juice, molasses, copper sulfate. I don't know about that. But no, the other things I'm seeing are pretty much the same treatment for sour crop, impacted crop. I think it's pretty much the same thing. But yeah, I haven't dealt with it myself either, so I don't have great suggestions for it. But I think you're on the right track with the olive oil, the apple cider vinegar, massaging the crop. Just you're going to have to repeat it probably many, many times. And I think Verna's suggestion about maybe, kind of open the mouth a little bit, see if there's any obvious thing that you might be able to grab with a pair of tweezers and pull out. That's probably going to be unpleasant, but it might fix it. Let's see. RBL Jackson, sorry, I meant the vertical board that splits the two sides. You made yours with a gap for airflow. I was wondering if you close that gap in the winter for less airflow and wind. Oh, no, you're talking about there's a gap at the top of it. You're right. There's a little bit of gap so they get plenty of ventilation. I don't close that off in the wintertime. They don't need it closed off. They just need a wind block. They need a place to be able to get to where they can get out of the wind. And that little section right there, there's not going to be enough wind going on that. You got to think about like quail in the wild. They don't have little rooms that they can go into that are completely closed off. They just get in the bushes, get in the brush, or get their back up against a tree where the wind is coming from one direction and block it. They don't need really closed in. You don't want to close it in real tight. You want airflow. You want ventilation in there. Let's see. Phil Washburn, Missouri says, greetings, Chris. Our two does will be kindling next week. Fingers crossed. All goes well. First litter for one and second for the other. Well, awesome. Good luck with your kindling. I hope that it does go well, and let us know how it goes. Let's see. Blessed with pets. I think my wisdom tooth is coming through. My gums hurt so bad. Oh, I had terrible problems with my wisdom teeth when they were horrible. I ended up having them all taken out. They would come through and then go back and then come through and go back. And it was a horrible, horrible experience for me. Don't put it off if you have problems with them. Go get them taken care of. I put it off way too long. Let's see. Gloss. Is it Gloss? Glass? I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Says, ready to try fermenting some feed for them too. Make it stretch plus add more nutrients. Yeah, there's no reason you shouldn't. I mean, go for it. I don't do it myself because it's extra work. There's a lot of reasons. I mean, it's just, I don't think it's really necessary, but go for it. See how it works out. Verna says, or if you have a legal library, you can go there and get help. Yeah, you could check it. That's for sure. Legal library. Hey, that's got to be Lars, doesn't it? Yep. Danish 169 Danish crowns. Thank you so much, Lars. I always know when it's Danish crowns that it is Lars. We haven't seen you in a while. We don't ever get to talk much because you just throw money at me and that's it. Never ask for anything in return. But thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. I lost track of where I was. I scrolled down to see Lars and lost track of where I was. Hang on, I'm getting back to it. Hey, there we go. Okay, Silver Creek Aquatics says the speckles are an adaptation. There we go, to hotter climates. A lot of game type birds lay speckled eggs for that reason. The heat from the desert or near the desert areas, that's the radiation that's reflected to. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense for sure. They reflect it to not cook the egg. That makes sense for sure. Yeah. All right. Naomi says she did smell a little weird, but not as much anymore. I was going to try yogurt after the 24-hour first mark. Are we talking about the impacted crop still, or sour crop, or whatever we want to call it? Yeah. I think you're on the right track. I think you're doing the right things. I don't have any other suggestions for you. Witch Doctor, good to see you. Says, hey, everyone, we just rolled in from work. Ricky is barbecuing hamburgers. That sounds pretty good, actually. Yeah, Katrina, I think you're on the right track there, too. It says a lot of game bird species also lay on the ground where they would need more camouflage. The spots could be dual purpose. They very well could be, couldn't they? Chase says, hey, I got a message saying my eggs should arrive tomorrow, starting out up the incubator. Oh, pardon me. Oh, another yawn. Sorry. Says, hey, I got a message saying my eggs should arrive tomorrow, starting up the incubator to check everything looks good. So about time for some fun. Well, good luck. Hopefully everything goes well. Blessed with Pets says this breeder I'm buying from has hundreds of rabbits, and she uses the big PVC pipe cages for her rabbits, and she says she's had them for years and she loves them. $8 a piece at Lowe's. $8 a piece at Lowe's for the big PVC pipe caps for her rabbits. She uses the pipe caps for her rabbits for, I don't know what she's using them for. I don't know. I'm confused. Sorry. I'm a little lost on that. Katrina, let's see, Silver Creek talking to Katrina. I'll let you guys talk. How are we doing on time? We're getting there. 8 minutes. Dale, let's see, missed the first bit, but had to get our first excess roosters ready for the freezer camp. Definitely easier than chickens, but the drill plucker made a huge mess. Oh, I can imagine. I've never tried plucking quail. I'm just not sure it's worth it, but maybe I'm wrong. And Scuba Healer says push the like button. We got more likes than we got people here now, so somebody's been pushing the like button. Thank you guys for that. I appreciate it. Hey, there's Witch Doctor. Says we incubated 120 eggs outside. The weather had been great. Then we got a windstorm and a super cold front. The light blew off the lid blew off the incubator and got down to 37 degrees. We thought we lost the whole batch. Boy, I would be concerned too. I'm guessing that you didn't, though. We decided to see it through, and we have 10 babies so far. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, they can make it through. I mean, it's crazy. You can do like almost everything right and have a terrible hatch, and then have something like that happen and still get a decent hatch. But they can make it through a lot of bad stuff. That just goes to show, don't just give up on them. I mean, you never know. Stills and Squeals says, I can't wait to throw some of my extra quail in the smoker when they come of age. I have some great rubs in plan for them already. Yeah, you have to share some of those with us. Andy says, that's cool. Witch Doctor, my last batch, I lost power 2 different times during the batch. Had 20 out of 23 eggs hatch out. Yeah, as long as you got the temperature right, and for the most part, those little interruptions like that are not a big deal. Michael Presley says, questions. Have you ever thought about fodder for the rabbits? Yeah, I have thought about fodder, but it's just extra work that I just don't want to deal with, honestly. I mean, I'm kind of lazy, I guess. But I work a full-time job. I don't, it's not like I just sit around all day with, not that people that, if I did not have a full-time job, I might be a little bit more apt to do some of those kinds of things. But usually I'm going out. I mean, I've got it pretty easy right now with my animals. That's kind of the way I like it. Is I go out, feed and water the rabbits, I feed and water the quail. It takes about 15 minutes. That's it. I'm done. I don't have to worry about fodder. I don't have to worry about seed. I don't have to do that every single day. I mean, it's just too much work. So I just haven't done it. Katrina says, wow, that's great. To which doctor? Considering. Yeah, it's absolutely great. Forgiven Soul says, hi, Redneck, big fan. Just got started raising meat rabbits. Well, awesome. Hopefully everything's going well there. I will get some more rabbit videos out sometime soon, but just hadn't much going on with them. I'm just waiting for them to start breeding. Andy Rabbit says, oh man, Chris, really no breeding yet. Dang, I got her sister to breed the other day. She is doing the 21st next month. Yeah, she will not lift. Sorry, I got distracted by another call. Yeah, she won't lift. I put her in the cage and she'll hold still, just lay there, but she will not lift for that buck no matter what. So I'm going to try again here in a week or two, see if she's in a little bit better mood. Boca del Cielo, I think it is. Playa. What is it? Yes. Says, do mosquitoes bite quail? Yeah, I'm sure they will. I mean, they're going to bite anything, right? I mean, I don't know. I've never actually seen it, but I'm sure that they do. Forgiven Soul says, any tips on a hair trimmer instead of scalding or skinning on rabbits? Is that what you're talking about? For when you process rabbits, you want to leave the skin on, but you want to be able to like shave the hair off. I don't leave the skin on mammals. That's just me. But I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't have a good suggestion for that. Ben says, in colder areas, trout can do well. Sunfish too. Yeah, I would think trout would need, well, maybe not. I don't know. And then there's it looks like there was a comment that got, I don't know, maybe not. Comment that got deleted, maybe. Schmokel says, do you eat salmon? I do eat salmon, yes. Not regularly because it's expensive, but yeah, I like salmon. Gloss says, I have some 11-inch tilapia swimming around now. Have been able to keep the water warm to grow them fast. A clean fish, though, when fed and raised properly. Silver Creek says, let's see, I raise fish. Hit me up with any questions. And my info's on my YouTube select info section. There you go. You can go. I think you can go to their channel, right? I'm afraid to click on it, though. I'm afraid I'll like leave the chat if I click on it. But you should be, I think there's 3 little dots next to your name. You can click on that and go to their YouTube channel, I believe. Animal Game says, I have chickens and quail eggs are so much better than chicken eggs. That's a question, though, isn't it? I have chickens and quail eggs are so much better than chicken eggs. You have a question mark. I don't know if that is true or that is just me. I think they are better than chicken eggs. I don't know if I'd say so much better. There is the convenience of chicken eggs, though. Just crack it, break it open. It's one egg. I mean, it's done, right? As opposed to snipping the end off, dumping the egg out, and doing that like 6 times. But I like both chicken eggs, quail eggs. I like duck eggs quite a bit. But I do think, like, as far as like a little hard-boiled egg or deviled eggs, I think the quail eggs definitely win out. They're way better in my opinion. But just to fry them or scramble them or something like that, I don't notice a huge difference. I do think there is a little bit more yolk content, like in comparison to the size of the egg to a quail egg, and I like the yolk quite a bit, so that's good. Silver Creek says there are some delicious and beautiful species of sunfish. Yeah, we have wild sunfish around here, and some of them are just gorgeous, like you said. And if you can get them big enough, they're fantastic. I love eating them. Steve says tilapia is only a trash fish when you feed them trash. Feed your fish well. Well, yeah, maybe. I never really liked tilapia. They've always just been kind of blah to me. And when I say trash fish, I just mean like not a high dollar one. That's what I mean. But anyway, that's just my opinion. I may be wrong. We're running out of time, guys, so I need to kind of wrap this up. I think it's right at time to wrap this one up. I do have Katrina calling me out, though, says, did you drive around the block? Now's your time to test that theory. I did, actually. Actually, the doe, I didn't drive around the block. I put her in a pet carrier, and I took her with me when I went to go pick up my deer from the processor, which is a ways away. It's like a 20-minute drive. So she got a long drive. Didn't make a difference. Tried that, tried switching cages. I've tried every trick in the book that I could think of, except for adding light. I haven't added light. So I need to add a light, try to get the hours, the daylight hours up to, 14 hours a day or so and see how that does for them. But I haven't done that yet just because it's not super easy to do. But everything else I've done. But yeah, that did not work. I thought for sure that would be. I actually even filmed it all, but they haven't bred yet, so I haven't been able to release the video. Silver Creek says, for a chef, the skin still on a quail is worth a bit more, but dang, it's not worth the work. Yeah, I never thought it would be worth the work either, but I may be wrong. All right, guys, I got to wrap this up. If I did not get to your chat, I'm sorry. I apologize. We just ran out of time. So we'll see you guys next week, though. Hopefully, I don't see any reason why I won't be back here next Thursday evening. And in the meantime, I try to get in and answer some comments on videos occasionally. I haven't been super good at it lately, but I've been trying to get a little bit better at that. But I do see your comments. So if there's things you want to see in a video, you want to see me shoot a video on something, leave a comment on a video. I'll see it. I may or may not be able to get to it, actually shoot a video on it. And anyway, I got to quit looking at the comments. I'll keep going and I'll run way out of time. But I got to wrap it up for now, guys. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you for joining me tonight. It's always a pleasure to spend some time with you guys. Everybody have a great weekend. And as always, God bless.